A week ago, I want to jump off with some audio here, because a week ago when you were out, and I think we played this for you, but I want to play it again. So last Friday, we were at the Ron Jaworski golf outing, right? We had a lot of great guests on. Mm-hmm. One of them, though, was Jaws. And a lot of this offseason, as we've projected the 2025 Eagles, we've thought a lot about what we just saw, and we kind of look ahead to what we might see this season. I feel like every time Saquon Barkley's name comes up, we're all in awe of what he did. But there's a pretty strong sentiment out there like, yeah, but he's probably not going to do that again. Like, there's almost no chance he does it again, what he just did last year, which was be the best back in the NFL, run for 2,000 yards. And if they let him play in that last game, he would have broke the NFL single-season rushing record. There's a feeling that, like, nah, there's no way he does it again. Well, Ron Jaworski last week, listen to Jaws here with us. This was a week ago at his golf outing. He doesn't feel that way. In fact, he feels he will do it again. Here's Jaws last week.
Without a doubt, he can do it again. He's healthy. Right now, the offensive line is going to be great. It's the same cast of characters.
Right.
I expect the offense to be tremendous, even better than it was last year. But injuries are always part of the game. And remember, the Giants lost interest, not totally interested in, but they thought he got hurt a lot.
Yeah.
He was really banged up a lot with New York. But look at that offensive line he had. It was a bad offensive line, took a lot of hits before he even got going. So he got hit in the backfield an awful lot when he was with the Giants. Here, he gets to dictate terms of engagement because he gets the line of scrimmage untouched. Now he can make his move, and he's a slashing type runner, and his lateral agility is second to none in the NFL. So if he stays healthy, I think he'll break the NFL rushing record. He would have broken it last year if we needed him to break it last year. We didn't because we iced things early, which is great, but he still is a phenomenal football back. And it's health when you talk about running backs.
If he stays healthy, he will break the NFL single-season rush record. That's what Jaws told us last week. And, Hugh, the more I think about it, last year I was wrong about Saquon. Not that I think he'd be a good player, because obviously he's a tremendous player. I didn't think he would have the impact he did. I was dead wrong. I mean, I didn't think it would change the team the way it did. I was dead wrong. So, sometimes you make a mistake and then you could double down, or you could rethink the way you think. I'm out. I'm done on the doubting Saquon Barkley business. That's a world I lived in, and I'm out. So I'll tell you right now, and I know health is a huge part of it, but I would bet on Saquon Barkley to do it again. I know history says he probably can't or won't or is unlikely to. If I could bet on Saquon Barkley to do what he did again last year, I would bet on him. 215-592-9494. I would bet on Saquon to do it again in 2025, even after all the rushing attempts, even after everything last year. I think the guy is a special athlete playing on a special team with the best offensive line we've seen in the NFL in a long time and a quarterback that makes his life easier in the run game. I think he's going to do it again. Hugh, where do you come down on Saquon after all the touches, after the special year? We know you're a sharp now. You're a big bettor. Would you bet on him to do it again?
I have a tremendous amount of respect for Jaws. Jaws watches a lot of film, and he's broken down a lot of film in his years, man. Mm-hmm. And there is something to what he's saying. When he's talking about dictating the terms of engagement and all the other good stuff. I mean, Jaws dropped some knowledge when he made that comment. And I do tend to lean towards Jaws, but since we're talking about my 5-leg parlay that I hit the other day.
Your bets.
If you're asking me, would I drop a bet on Saquon Barkley breaking the single-season rushing record? $2? No, I'm not about to do that. I just don't think that's going to happen. And I think he's going to get close. I think he's going to have a hell of a year. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler again this year. But the way the defense is going to play him, the way that this offense is going to evolve, I think it's going to be hard to get to that record. Now, if you say $2 bet on like 1,500 rushing yards this year, I'll take that one.
Yeah, but that's not that's
I'll take that one.
That's child's play compared to last year.
Well, no, because it's not. Let me tell you.
But compared to last year.
Dude, I did it again.
You all right over there? He's a good player. 17.5 sacks last year.
I like Trey.
Excuse me. Did it again.
Oh, no.
This guy. It's only 10:07. We got hours to go today. Lock in.
You weren't. Hold on. Because last time you were talking about I was drinking water. What was that?
It was like a mid burp, and I don't know what happened.
Mid burp in the middle of the segment.
Y'all
we're
leave me.
Mid burping.
Leave me alone.
I got a bad feeling about today. We're in trouble.
But I just think the teams are going to play him differently. It's going to be tough. Saquon's a hell of a player, no question. That's why I said 1,500 yards. I think he gets that in his sleep. But to do what he did, Kyle, stop laughing.
Do it again. Is he going to do it again?
No, I don't think.
Hater Hugh has arrived today. Doubting Saquon, doubting Douglas over here.
On. This one might be worse.
Is it worse than Trey?
Yeah, let me rip it
all
real
right,
quick. It's bad.
All right, 215-592-9449. Well, Kyle works on that. I would bet on Saquon to do it again. I doubted him last year. I think he has the ability to do this again. And I think with the offensive line here and his health, he didn't get hurt last year, right? It's not like he ended the season banged up. He ended the season healthy. And I understand all the numbers, and you could look at different running backs, right? There's been a lot of guys that have had this many touches and then they fall off a cliff. I get it. I mean, we watched it a year ago. Christian McCaffrey, right? Christian McCaffrey 2 years ago was the best back in the league, and then last year was a disaster with Achilles injuries and all that. So I understand the history of all this. But once in a while, there is a great back that is going for a stretch of time where he's greater than everyone else, right? It's not just 1 year. I mean, we have one-hit wonders, and maybe Christian McCaffrey ends up as he just has one special year. But Terrell Davis, 97, 98, he had back-to-back years where
he went back-to-back.
He went back-to-back. I would say Barry Sanders, 96, 97, he went back-to-back. Marshall Faulk, 99, 2000, he went back-to-back. And it's not all exactly the same number, like the exact same rushing yards, but back-to-back years, they dominated the sport. Emmitt Smith, 93, 94. And I look at Saquon, and I say he's healthy. He's behind the best offensive line. And as much as a lot of people think they're going to evolve the offense, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not sold the Eagles when push comes to shove are going to take the ball out of their best players' hands and put it in the quarterback's hands more. They tried that last year, and it didn't work, and I know what works here. That's running the football with Saquon Barkley. 215-592-9494. Can we hear from Jeff Darlington? He was on ESPN recently talking about Saquon, and he said something interesting about him that I don't know if I've ever heard it said this way. Here's Jeff Darlington on Saquon and his future.
I think it is repeatable, quite honestly. Now, Kevin Patula, the new offensive coordinator, has been there. He was there for the Super Bowl. He understands the way that Kellen Moore got this offense going with Saquon. So I don't expect them to change it that much. Quite frankly, they found the recipe for success, and it is put the ball in the hands of Saquon Barkley. The other component to this that could actually add to it is if teams do somehow decide to figure out, I know they haven't yet, to stop the tush push, you could actually see Saquon's touchdown totals go up even higher. So to me, I know it sounds crazy, but I don't necessarily know that we've seen Saquon's ceiling. It was obviously a historic season, but I think that that's just because this is an historic player.
I think that's the way he said it at the end. Sometimes you got to wrap your mind around that. Yeah, was it a historic season? Yeah, but we were watching there's a reason back in the day he was taken number 2 in the draft, right? Like, even though running backs probably shouldn't go that high, and it was a bad pick for that particular team because they didn't have anything else, he got picked number 2 for a reason. He's a special talent. 215-592-9494. Would you bet on Saquon to do it again? I would. Doubting Douglas over here. Can't believe this. He would not bet on Saquon to do it again. Where do you come down? Kyle, what do you got? And then you got to let us hear what the heck Hugh said a few minutes ago.
I'm doing my best to lock in here.
Yeah.
But
this guy's unbelievable.
It's out of control.
10:07.
I'm the resident running back guy. Amongst our peers at the radio station.
You're one of the biggest
on
ones.
The show.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big time.
I was huge on getting Saquon here. Very high on the season that he was going to have last season. I think you're going to lose your money if you bet on him doing it again. And it's less about just, I don't want to go through the whole history thing.
I thought
we
you don't
know
like
what the
history
is.
Oh, yeah. I thought you don't like history.
I don't. But this is statistical regression. Like, this is basic math, fellas. Like, when you have as good of a season as you have the year before, it's just not likely that he's going to repeat it again. And, nobody's repeated it again. Right? What, Terrell Davis did, the 90s, something like that?
Yeah.
But nobody's had back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons. And I understand what Jaws is saying. If he's healthy, he could do it again. He's a great, very talented player, and he's in such a good situation. But we have to be realistic. He said if he's healthy, I don't know if I can just count on that. Saquon has a history of not being a very healthy running back. Last season was the healthiest he's been in a season in the NFL. And then you also have to factor this in. The Eagles' offensive coordinator was their pass game coordinator last year. I think they're going to come out trying to throw the ball. I think defenses are going to make them have to throw the ball because, I don't know if the Super Bowl was the blueprint for Saquon, but the Chiefs did a really good job stopping Saquon. And the book just might be out on him now. I think it would be crazy to bet on him to do it again. Now, Would I be shocked if he had like a 1,400-yard season? No, I wouldn't be shocked at that. And I think that would be okay if the Eagles can make up for it in the passing game. But I wouldn't bet on him having another offensive player of the year type season.
1,400 yards. That's a 600-yard dip from last year.
That's a good running back.
That's
season.
That's a good season.
Yeah, but that's not what we just had. That's a huge difference. When you say 2,000 to 1,400.
Of course, yeah, but because 2,000 yards is like insane.
Well, it was a special year, but he's an insane player. All right, 215-592-9494. I've learned my lesson. I would bet on Saquon to do it again. I'm out of the doubting Saquon business. Hugh Douglas apparently is in the doubting Saquon business. Where do you come down? Saquon Barkley, there's just been this feeling out there since the end of last season like, he's never going to do this again. Why? He's a special player. He came out of last year healthy. The Eagles are obviously going to take care of him in training camp. I don't imagine he's going to be out there in every single drill. They're going to protect his body. And when the games start behind this offensive line and with a quarterback that every time I bring up Jalen Hurts, they say, Joe, you got to give him credit. He makes the run game better. Well, he makes the run game better. Every running back that plays next to Jalen Hurts seems to produce more than they did before. So I don't see any reason why. I go into the season expecting excellence out of Saquon Barkley. Where do you guys come down? 215-592-9494. Would you bet on Saquon to do it again?